Liefdesgebede deel 26. Hierdie is 'n reeks, 'n versameling wat ek gedoen het vanuit my gunsteling films uit en tonele wat my hartsnare aangeraak het. Ek het 'n passie om kreatiewe gebede te bid. Ek geniet dit verskriklik om to bring the fun back in praying. So ek gaan die linkie onder plaas na die Facebook bladsy toe waar ek die videoklips ook ingesit het. Maar indien jy nie tyd het om dit te gaan kyk nie, gaan ek my bes te doen om dit te verduidelik. Maar ek beveel aan jy gaan kyk dit, want ek glo dis in daai oomblikke wat ons stil word en net daarna kyk en waar die Heilige Gees dan vir ons minister. Die Pretty Woman einde. Richard Gere en Julia Roberts, dit maak jy sommer net al klaar smile, nee. Daardie einde waar hy sy vrees oorwin, sy vrees, sy vertigo, sy hoogte vrees oorwin, om uit sy comfort boxie uit te klim en hierdie wow oomblik vir die vrou te gee. Ons vrouens hou van aandag. Die mans moet dit maar net eenmal weet. En ek het hierdie quote op my muur. It seemed like an appropriate and romantic gesture. Mag ons daagliks, want jy sien ek glo ons dien die God van romanties. Hy is so romanties. Johannes skryf daarvan in sy brief waar hy sê, kyk watter groot liefde het Jesus vir ons bewys. Mag ons daagliks daardie groot romantiese gebare beleef van God af en van die man in ons lewe. Laat hulle werklik waar die limousine hier, die roos in hulle tande sit en opklim en buitekant hulle comfort zones gaan net om te wys dat ons is vir hulle kosbaar.
Your plane is leaving as scheduled, sir. And you should be back in New York on time.
Charge you a little more rent than Vivian because I got this beauty course I'm looking into and I'm not gonna be there that much. You know, because you just can't turn tricks forever. You gotta have a goal. Do you have a goal?
Well, I always wanted to be in the Ice Capades.
Help you, love?
Here we go. Thank you very much.
So, you got a lot of stuff you gotta move in?
No, Carlos burned most of my stuff when I said I was moving out.
Had to be the top floor, right?
It's the best!
All right, I'm coming up.
So what happened after he climbed up the tower and rescued her?
She rescues him right back.
Welcome to Hollywood. What's your dream? Everybody comes here. This is Hollywood, land of dreams. Some dreams come true, some don't. But keep on dreaming. This is Hollywood. Always time to dream, so keep on dreaming.
Nog een vanuit die Pretty Woman toneel uit is daar waar hulle saam skaak speel. Daai is net vir my so 'n kosbare oomblik want jy sien Ons gaan met vakansie en baie keer het ons die groot romantiese dates, maar meeste van ons lewe is gewone dinge. Dit is saam kos maak, dit is saam inkopies doen, dit is saam die bed opmaak, dit is die gewone dinge in die lewe. Maar net soos wat in daai toneel wat hulle die gewone dinge 'n potjie skaak so geniet het en mekaar net so geniet het, glo ek dat God kan enige oomblik vir ons opjazz. Ek het al gebid dat God dit vir my lekker sal maak om my kar te was en dan maak hy dit vir my lekker. So mag God elke liewe oomblik wat ons saam spandeer, of dit nou is om saam kos te maak en of dit nou is om saam logistieke reëlings uit te praat vir die kinders of vir 'n partytjie wat ons met saam gaan bywoon, maar mag God soos dat daai skaaktoneel so magical like, mag God elke oomblik saam vir ons so magical maak.
Why don't we finish this tomorrow? It's really late. I have to work.
Why don't you not go to work tomorrow? Take the day off.
Me not work?
Yeah.
I do own the company.
Daar's hierdie stukkie uit Rabel doen hierdie teaching drops like stars, wat hy verduidelik dat die verlore seun kom nooit terug huis, of ons weet nie of die verlore seun kom terug huis toe, maar daar's konflik met die boetie en die boetie sê, wat is dit wat jy doen vir jou seun wat abskond het, wat van my? En dan sê die pa, maar kom vier fees saam met ons, maar ons weet nooit of kom die seun regtig terug nie. En so 'n verhouding is daar ook baie keer unresolved issues. Daar's open-ended issues. En mag ons, net soos wat die pa gemaklik was met daai openheid in daai verhouding, mag ons ook daai volwassenheid kry in die verhouding om te sê, maar dis okay, selfs die unresolved issue gee ek nog nou oor aan God. Ek was nou onlangs in 'n verhouding en daar was 'n unresolved issue oor watter mate moet jy verander om by iemand te pas. En dis nogal 'n teerpuntjie in my lewe. En ek wil selfs in daai unresolved kategorie vir God gee en sê, maar Here, ons verskil en help ons. Ek weet nie of vir die verlore seun se ouer boetie ooit weer teruggegaan in die party en saam met die pa die seun celebrate nie. Maar ek weet dat U is selfs die God wat in beheer is met sulke unresolved issues.
About a man who had 2 sons. In the story that Jesus tells, it begins with the younger son saying to the father, Dad, I want my share of the inheritance, which is a very first century Jewish way of saying, Dad, I wish you were dead. You simply would not make this request. In the first century Jewish culture, the father's inheritance would be divided upon the father's death between the older brother and the younger brother, roughly 2/3 going to the older brother, 1/3 going to the younger brother. This wouldn't happen until the father died. And it involved the complicated procedure of selling off family lands, and it just simply wasn't done. To say to your father, Dad, I want my share of the inheritance, was essentially to say, Dad, you are worth nothing to me other than the money I can get from you. But in this thoroughly strange story that Jesus tells, the father grants this unspeakably offensive request. The son takes the money, goes off to a foreign land, to a far country, blows it all, and then realizes I'd be better off as a servant in my dad's house than in this place I find myself in. So he returns. His father sees him coming up the driveway. I added that part. And the father runs to him, which a first century Jewish patriarch would never do, totally undignified. Nevertheless, he runs to him, welcomes him home, and announces there will be a great feast. And he says, someone kill a fattened calf. Well, in those days, you would kill a fattened lamb. A lamb would feed a family. A fattened calf, well, that would feed, I don't know, probably 100 people. That's about the size of a village in those days, in those places. So, when he says kill a fattened calf, essentially this feast is going to involve the whole village. Apparently, the consequences of the son's departure were so destructive, he needs to be reconciled to the whole village. And so there is this reconciliation feast going on, and the older brother comes in from the field, and he hears the music, and he hears what's happened, and he refuses to join the party. And so he and the father have this conversation. The father leaves the party to come out and try to convince him to join it. And he essentially says, man, this is totally unfair. You never even gave me a goat so my friends and I could party. And we all enjoy a good goat burger. Actually, what's interesting about when he says goat is that a goat doesn't have very much meat. It has very, very scarce meat, and it wasn't very good for throwing a party. So essentially, the older brother reveals this is the best he can come up with. He has a sort of deprivation of imagination. The best kind of thing he can come up with from the father is a party with a goat. A small, shrunken view of the blessing and goodness and love and generosity of the father. He never even gave me a goat so my friends and I could party. And then the father says, oh, but you have always been with me, and everything I have is yours. By the way, brief bit of commentary. In this story Jesus is telling, the Father is the God character. In case that was fuzzy. Okay, so of all the conceptions of the divine Jesus could describe, of all the language Jesus could put on the lips of the God character, he has the God character saying, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But this other son of mine, he was dead, now he's alive, he's lost, and now he was found. And then the older brother has this moment of enlightenment, and he says, oh, you're right, Dad. I never thought about it like that. I have been such an ass. Can I get you a beer? And then the dad's like, oh, and then they go into the party because it's a Christian story and everybody gets saved. Actually, how does the story end? You never even gave me a goat so my friends and I could party. Oh, but you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But this son of mine, he was dead, now he's alive, he's lost, and now he was found. And then it's over. Have you ever been to a movie and your lower end tells you that we're somewhere towards the end? And all of a sudden the screen goes black and this sort of inner monologue begins, no. And you think to yourself, if I see credits right now, I will declare this the biggest piece of cinematic rubbish ever. There's this sort of thing, and then it happens. You see assistant second key grip Chucky Smith, and you're like, no, catering by Big Louie's, no. Jesus leaves this story unresolved. It just hangs there, the Father's words. We don't find out if the older brother decides to join the party. If this story was a movie, what would be the last scene of the movie? There would be some sort of tent with electricity. The father comes out to try and convince the older brother to join the party. You never even gave me a goat so my friends and I could party. And then you have a father who says, you are always with me and everything I have is yours. But that son of mine, he was dead, now he's alive, he's lost, and now he was found. And then there'd be this sort of, and then what would the camera do? Right? It would just start panning back. And you'd be like, no. And if you were there the first time the story was told, you would turn to your friend and you'd say, man, you are never going to start a movement with terrible stories like this. That's a slow burn, that one. Takes a little while. A couple of you tomorrow will be like, Yeah, he leaves it unresolved. And this story has had a sort of cultural resonance to it. I mean, religious background, ethnic background, cultural time and place. I mean, this story has been told. It sort of transcends history. I mean, across all sorts of backgrounds, this story has sort of spoken to people, has resonated deeply with people. Is it because we have all been to parties that were missing an older brother? I mean, some couples aren't able to reconcile their differences. Some business partners don't later come back and be like, here's the money, I was just kidding. Some friends don't say, you know, I actually think I have some sort of addiction, and I think I need help, and I think I've been making your life and others quite miserable, and I think it's time for me to admit this and get some help. Some friends don't say that, and just sort of spiral farther and farther down. Perhaps one of the reasons why the story has a sort of enduring cultural resonance is because Jesus leaves it unresolved, and we have all had things and have things in our lives that are unresolved. They haven't been fixed. They haven't been reconciled. They just are. And sometimes what happens is the religious voice sort of charges into these situations and says, well, yeah, that's just how God planned it. Whereas something within you is saying at that very moment, the God that planned this, I'm not sure I want anything to do with. And maybe later I'll be ready for that sort of discussion. But right now, please keep that out of here. There's a sort of, it just is, and to make it something it's not causes even more pain. Now, lots of people much wiser.
Daar's die toneel uit 'n film uit wat ek nou kan onthou wat 'n film was dit eers nie. Small Talk, waar die man net sê hy haat small talk. En ek hou ook self nie van small talk nie, want small talk glo ek is ook weer eens die red herring. Dis daai vermydingsfaktor wanneer daar 'n olifant in die kamer is. Ons praat oor die temperatuur, ons praat oor oor die simpel goed. Ons praat oor die weer, maar ons praat nie oor die olifant wat in die kamer is nie. So ek wil selfs ook nou hierdie small talk aan God surrender om te sê, Here, laat ons praat oor die dinge wat regtig saak maak. Want jy sien as verhouding, as iemand op sterfbed lê, praat hulle nie van hoeveel keer het hulle met jou gepraat oor wat is die weer nie. Hulle praat oor daai een oomblik wat jy vir hulle iets baie kosbaar gesê het. So mag God ook asseblief kom en ons monde aanraak, sodat ons werklik waar die groot issues in die lewe meer sal bespreek as small talk. En nou is 'n plek vir small talk, maar ek dink is 'n klein plek. Small. Mag ons meer praat oor die groter dinge, oor die dinge wat werklik saak maak.
And I think that maybe someday we could love each other like that. And I'm sorry that I hurt you. I didn't mean to.
Where do you go from here?
I don't know. 6 months I'm going to be a dad. And I've never been alone, so I was thinking that I would try that.
Well, you know, I'm not a fan of small talk, so I'm gonna give you a hug and I wish you Godspeed. Be good. Shut up, man.
Bye, Pat.
Hierdie is so 'n oulike toneel. Dit kom vanuit, ek dink 'n Superman uit of een van daai tipe van films. Kom ons kyk gou. Spider-Man. Daar's die toneel van Spider-Man wat amper dood is en dan kom iemand en dan kom gee hy vir hom vinnig CPR. En dis my volgende gebed. Net soos wat God vir Esegiel die opdrag gegee het om te sê, spreek weer lewe in die dooie bene in. So glo ek dat daar sekere verhoudings wat amper dood is of wat op pad dood is wat eintlik nie in God se plan was nie. So mag God ons monde aanraak sodat ons weer lewe kan inspreek in daai dooie bene in. Wanneer ons met CPR doen, jy doen nie net 3 keer CPR dan okay, ek gee nou maar op nie. Maar mag God vir ons daai gees van volhouding gee en aanhouding, sodat ons wil aanhou en aanhou om CPR te gee totdat hierdie verhouding weer revive is, net soos in hierdie
Charge, let's go again. And clear.
No response.
Let's recharge and do it one more time. And clear.
Toneel. Oh, and the crowd goes, oh, vir die baie romantiese film The Notebook. The Notebook, waar hulle so sit en hulle roei tot in die middel van daai dam in en hulle het hierdie diep hartsgesprekke. Mag God daagliks vir ons sulke romantiese oomblikke gee van roei in 'n bootjie tot in die middel van die dam en die swane is daar reg rondom ons. Mag ons tyd maak in ons dagboeke om te gaan roei op die dam. Mag ons werklik waar in verhoudings moeite maak, bemoeienis maak om hierdie pragtige oomblikke vir onsself te skep.
It's like a dream.
Do you want to feed him?
Yeah. What are they all doing here?
I don't know. They're supposed to migrate to Guatemala Sound.
They won't stay here?
No. They'll go back where they came from.
You're different.
What do you mean?
It's the way you look. Everything.
You look different too, but in a good way.
No, you're kind of the same, though.
Yeah?
Yeah. And you really did it.
What?
Everything. The house. It's beautiful what you did.
Well, I promised you I would. Great. We gotta go.
Why didn't you write me? Why? It wasn't over for me. I waited for you for 7 years. And now it's too late.
I wrote you 365 letters. I wrote you every day for a year.
You wrote me?
Yes. It wasn't over. It still isn't over.
net soos wat hulle daar gedoen het in die notebook. Daar's die toneel ook uit Titanic wat waar Rose vir Jack sê, you've got a beautiful gift, Jack. You see people. En dan sê hy, ja, ek het jou gesien en ek het gesien jy gaan nie spring nie. En wat ek vandag dink wat die grootste probleem is in verhoudings is die vinnigheid waar daar tekkies aangetrek word, hardloop tekkies net om weg te hardloop. Mag ons daagliks soos die Titanic oomblik wees om te sê, ek sien jou foute ook, maar ek gaan nie my tekkies aantrek nie want jy is die moeite werd. Mag ons dit daagliks mekaar sê is I see you but I won't run. Net soos wat daai toneel wat Jack al gesien het, maar sy gaan nie spring nie. Sy gaan nog steeds aanhou. Mag ons ook so mense raak sien soos in daai lig.
Oh, and this lady. She used to sit at this bar every night, wearing every piece of jewelry she owned, just waiting for her long-lost love.
Called her Madame Bijou. See, her clothes are all moth-eaten.
Well, you have a gift, Jack. You do. You see people.
I see you.
And?
You wouldn't have jumped.
Oh, and this lady. She used to sit at this bar every night, wearing every piece of jewelry she owned, just waiting for her long-lost love.
Daar's die toneel vanuit Under the Tuscan Sun, waar die een vriendin vir die ander vriendin sê, maar jy begin om 'n groot gevaar te loop, want jy hou so vas aan jou verlede, jy hou so vas aan die traumas wat in die verlede met jou gebeur het. Jy is besig om die risiko te loop om een van daardie empty shell people te word. En het jy geweet daai empty, en weet jy wat ek bedoel, dis mense wat hulle is hier, maar hulle is eintlik ook nie hier nie. En hulle praat net oor hulle verlede. Hulle hou so vas aan die verlede. They stuck in a moment. En daar's die oomblik ook wat gebeur het met Jakob in Genesis 45 vers 27. En ek wil dit graag vir jou lees, want op hierdie stadium het die broers vir Jakob kom sê dat Josef is dood, en toe later toe vind hulle uit, okay, maar Josef is nou nie dood nie. En toe kom gee hulle vir Jakob die goeie nuus om te sê, maar jou seun lewe nog steeds. En daarso staan, het die gees van Jakob, hulle vader, weer lewendig geword. En ek dink dat daar's baie, soos in die Under the Tuscan Sun storieetjie, is daar baie mense wat empty shell mense is, wat leë doppe mense is. En ek glo net soos wat die goeie nuus na Jakob toe gekom het en dit hom weer lewendig laat voel, so kan ons dieselfde doen in verhoudings. En ek wil nog 'n stukkie vir jou lees oor Isak en Rebekka. Isak in Genesis 24 vers 67. En Isak het haar in die tent van sy moeder ingebring en Rebekka geneem en sy het sy vrou geword en hy het haar liefgehad. So is Isak getroos na die dood van sy moeder. Jy sien, ek glo daar is genesing in verhouding, soos die Empty Shell video waarvan ek praat in Under the Tuscan Sun. Mag God vir ons daagliks die nuwe tools gee en die bereidwilligheid gee om hierdie vervulling te kom van Genesis 24 vers 67. Dalk is dit 'n mooi kompliment wat jy vir iemand moet gee, dalk is dit 'n woordjie van belangstelling, maar mag God vir ons daagliks daardie inspirasie gee om die genesing te bring vir die empty shell mense in ons lewe.
Can we please just talk about the baby? I think you're in danger. Of? Of never recovering. You know when you come across one of those empty shell people and you think, what the hell happened to you? Well, there came a time in each one of those lives where they were standing at a crossroads. Crossroads? So Oprah. Some place where they had to decide to turn left or right. This is no time to be a chicken shit, Francis.
I'm not being a chicken shit, Patty.
I'm not. Okay, just promise me you'll think about it. I'll think about it. Okay?
Dit is nog 2 oor wat ek graag wil doen. Die volgende een kom uit War Room uit die film War Room uit, en dit is net so 'n fantastiese, pragtige film. En daar's die oomblik waar die man op pad is om 'n buiteegtelike verhouding te begin, en dan bid sy vir God om te sê, Here, help asseblief. Die vrou, mevrou, bid daarvoor om te sê, stop asseblief my man, keer hom, en dan ewe skielik word sy maag heeltemal omgekrap. En ek wil sommer nou 'n gebed van beskerming gee vir elke liewe versoeking wat die vyand daar buite kan plaas, wat ons wil verder wegvat van mekaar af, wat 'n groter kloof wil bring tussen ons en ons geliefdes. Mag God ook so radikaal intree, sodat ons niks kan doen, geen aksies kan doen, wat 'n groter kloof kan bring tussen ons en die mense vir wie ons lief is, nie.
Lord, forgive me. Forgive me. I'm not his judge, you are. But I'm asking you, please, please, don't let him do this. Take over. Please take over. Take my heart and take all this anger. Help him love me again. And help me love him. He's doing something wrong. Don't let him get away with it. Stand in his way.
You know what I really like right now?
Tell me.
A glass of my favorite wine.
Okay, we can do that. What is it?
It's not here. It's at my apartment.
Well, if it's your favorite, I'd like to try it.
Here you are, sir. Hope you both have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. We will.
Veronica, listen. I need a minute, all right? I'll be right back.
Okay.
Die einde, hierdie is die laaste een, is ook die einde van Wicker Park, die film. Hulle sê die hele film is die paartjie op soek na mekaar en hulle mis mekaar die hele tyd. En dan aan die einde, spoiler alert, vind hulle mekaar. Maar hy wag eers wel op die verkeerde plek en dan besef hy, maar dis nie waar hy moet wees nie. En hy gaan na haar toe en dan speel daai pragtige liedjie van The Scientist. Wat speel in die agtergrond, en is net so 'n mooi liedjie en is so 'n mooi toneel. Mag God daagliks, wat die skrywer is van ons lewe, mag hy daagliks sulke oomblikke kry waar ons pause druk en ons gaan soek mekaar en ons vind mekaar. Want selfs in die mooiste liefdesverhaal Hooglied, is daar keer op keer wat een van die partye wegtrek en die ander persoon gaan soek hulle. Mag God vir ons daagliks 'n Wicker Park oomblik gee, waar ons net soekend is na mekaar en mekaar vind op die ou einde van die dag. Mag jy 'n super geseënde liefdeslewe hê.
to the start. Running in circles, coming in tails, heads on the sides apart. Nobody said it was easy. It's such a shame for us to part. Nobody said it was easy. No one ever said it would be this hard. Oh, take me back to the start. I was just guessing at numbers and figures, pulling your puzzles apart. Questions of science, science and progress did not speak as loud as my heart. Tell me you love me, come back and haunt me. Oh, when I rush to the start, running in circles, chasing tails, coming back as we are. Nobody said it was easy. Oh, it's such a shame for us to part. Nobody said it was easy. No one ever said it would be so hard. I'm going back to the start.